Hello. Sorry, I was about to do the Friday feature, but then I saw someone's Twitter post about how whales evolved from these tiny little wolf-like creatures, and I got a bit distracted. Main quest, write this week's video. Optional procrastination side quests, make a cup of tea, put your Blu-rays in alphabetical order, research the evolutionary history of the largest mammal to ever exist on planet Earth. It's easy to get pulled into these extracurricular activities, isn't it? And the same thing happens to me all the time when I'm playing video games. I'll be enjoying the story, making great progress, and then I'll just stumble upon something interesting in the middle of nowhere. An abandoned house, a strange landmark, a dead body, and before you know it, you've plunged down an optional rabbit hole, a meandering tunnel of intrigue, a dense labyrinth of side story wonder, a place where the long-forgotten sunlight of the main quest has no chance of reaching. In fact, some of these side quests are so substantial, so unique and compelling, that it can sometimes be 5-10 hours before you even touch the main story again. Here are 7 side quests that are so good, we just completely forgot the main game. Before we begin, make sure you click that notification bell so you're always up to date with the latest Friday feature. So, side quests. They come in many shapes and sizes, some huge and epic, others short, mad and hilarious, like The Show Must Go On, our first entry from Yakuza 0. Now, picking just one sub-story from Yakuza was an absolute nightmare, as it's a series built on a foundation of inventive, quirky madness. You only have to walk down the street in the densely packed district of Kamurocho to see side quests and mini-games beaming at you from shop interiors, street corners, and the oh-so-punchable mouths of low-life street thugs. This one is a little different though. The setup is this: a film crew is in trouble. Their producer hasn't shown up for work and they need someone to stand in. They don't need any skills apart from the ability to stand around in fancy clothes looking like they know what they're doing. You get the distinct impression whoever wrote this sub-story doesn't particularly like television producers. And who should stroll past at that very moment but Kiryu, a man bursting with authoritative charisma. Once you've agreed to help out and dressed for the part, the meat of the side quest involves deciphering the bizarre jargon of the TV crew and working out what they need you to do. Like, for instance, fetching the erasable. I mean, there's an actual eraser on the table, I guess that's it. Yeah, it's possible to totally screw up on the choices, but thankfully, this being Yakuza, the game just sort of rolls with it. And anyway, everything gets cleared up at the end when the real producer turns up with his cronies, Anchorman style, and Kiryu calmly puts his head through the wall. That is what I call good TV. Our second entry is I Know You, a short side quest from Red Dead Redemption that sparked years of frenzied fan theorising into what it actually means. At 3 points in the game, John Marston will run into a mysterious stranger who'll present you each time with a moral choice. For instance, give the nun $10 or rob the nun. What? This is less about the content of the quest and more about the quest giver, to be fair. This strange man, who is he? Why does he know so much about John Marston? About his previous life in Dutch's gang? And why doesn't John remember him at all? There are some really interesting fan theories about the strange man, many of which centre around the idea that he could be God or the devil. Marston fires on him in frustration after their third encounter, but none of the bullets hit. And his reply to John's "damn you" curse,
"Damn you!" Yes, many have,
is just fuel for the conspiracy theory fire. In terms of playtime, this side quest probably takes no longer than an hour all in, but it's the otherworldliness, the enigma surrounding the strange man, that makes it live long in the memory. Third entry, Return to Crookback Bog from The Witcher 3, one of the most critically acclaimed optional quests ever, and my personal favourite from a game overflowing with unique, deep, superbly written side stories. This side quest concludes the story of the Bloody Baron, which by this point you'll already be heavily invested in through the events of the main story. If you still haven't played The Witcher 3, and I mean come on now, I'll spoil as little as possible, but Return to Crookback Bog involves you, the Bloody Baron, and Tamara, the Baron's estranged daughter, attempting to save Anna, the Baron's wife, from the horrible witches of Crookback Bog. So much can change in this quest as well, depending on what choices you made earlier in the game. For instance, if you saved the tree spirit in the Whispering Hillock quest, the village of Downwarren will have been completely destroyed by said spirit, although the is it or isn't it evil tree spirit will potentially also save Anna's orphans, depending on whether or not you did the Whispering Hillock quest before starting Ladies of the Wood. No, wait. After... Look, basically there's no way for everyone to have a happy ending. Depending on your choices, the orphans could die, the entire village of Downwarren could be destroyed, Anna could die and the Baron hang himself through grief, or all the aforementioned could live. But not all at once. It's complicated, okay? The point, however, is this quest is wonderfully written, hits you like a bullet train fueled by pure emotion, and is full of raw, unpredictable, and often downright horrible events and characters. Basically everything that's good about The Witcher 3 distilled into 2 or 3 hours of RPG brilliance. Entry 4 is Stealing Memory, Kasumi Goto's loyalty mission in Mass Effect 2. And it's a heist. I love a good heist quest, and this is one of my all-time favourites, memorable for the way it shakes up the Mass Effect formula. First of all, it's not all about combat. I mean, yes, everything hits the fan at the end, but beforehand, you get to do that cool thing of infiltrating a swanky party, mixing with the galaxy's rich list, and choosing dialogue options that wouldn't be out of place in a James Bond movie.
I've heard a lot about you. Name's Solomon Gunn.
Why do supervillains always invite loads of people over for a party with all of their most stealable items on display? Anyway, so you bluff your way in, Kasumi doesn't, but she can go invisible and gets in anyway, and then simultaneously mingle while looking for a way to break into the vault. And what are you stealing? This is the cool sci-fi bit I just loved. A grey box. Essentially a brain record of Kasumi's dead lover, Keiji, who was killed by Donovan Hock, the guy whose party you're about to crash. There's more cool sci-fi stuff to do in the meantime, however. You need a sample of Hock's DNA and a recording of his voice to break into the vault, so you'll need to schmooze those out of him before entering. Then, when you're down there, boom! Look at all the stuff he's collected. I love this so much. You can just feel all of the really cool ideas the dev team must have had just bubbling through the air of this place. He's got the head of the Statue of Liberty in here, for goodness sake. Anyway, now it's time for an awesome battle where Kasumi gets to show off her amazing Shadow Strike ability, and you get to show those fat cat scumbags who's boss. It's a brilliant mission, like a spy movie in space, and is full of everything good about Mass Effect. Inventive locations, quick dialogue, emotive storytelling, and explosive action. Number 5, one of my favourite side quests of all time, the Chocobo Breeding in Final Fantasy VII. Oh, the magic, the pure infuriating brilliance of this. How the game drip feeds you the necessary info in the form of a forgetful old man who lives on top of a mountain in the middle of ice-cold nowhere, a place to which you'll excitedly fly every hour or so for the next sentence of the puzzle, before zooming back to your Chocobo Ranch to feed carob nuts to your best birds in the hope they'll birth a green one or a blue one. And then it's off to the gold saucer to race them through the ranks, also that eventually, after hours and hours of toing and froing and flying and crying and catching and racing and breeding and feeding, you get a magical golden chocobo. A chocobo that can walk across water, hop over mountains, and get you to that secret island the developers love to always hide, unmarked, in the bottom corner of the world map that contains the Knights of the Round materia. the most powerful summon in the game. Honestly, they could release Chocobo Breeding as a standalone game and I would be all over it. By the end, I had an entire fleet of gold Chocobos. That's right, a fleet. That is the collective noun I use to describe my golden beauties. All with speed over 170, all able to waltz through S-Class Chocobo races with ease. Thanks, Chocobo Sage in the middle of ice-cold nowhere. You can now forget everything in peace. I'm kind of cheating with entry number 6 because if you want to get anywhere in Persona 5, making friends is basically essential, but technically you don't have to do it, so I'm putting it in. Also, it's a bunch of fun, and over the course of a single playthrough, you'll spend upwards of 50 hours hanging out, getting food, watching movies, making coffee, buying gifts, crafting lockpicks. My favourite thing to do on a Saturday afternoon. Going to work, yes, actually going to work in a game. Seriously, it's fun. Going to the batting cages, maybe even developing a romantic relationship with that special someone you've taken a particular shine to. Technically, you can just blitz through the story if you like. I mean, I say blitz. You'll still be a good 70 hours. But to get the most out of the game, the optional side activities are pretty much essential. Persona 5 is kind of like one big fat side quest with a story woven through it. And it is amazing. Final entry, and it had to be this one, didn't it? A Night to Remember in Skyrim is one of, if not the best side quest in the game. There are some absolute bangers in there, the Dark Brotherhood questline, the Thieves Guild, the whole Forsworn thing, the murder mystery in Windhelm. But this Daedric quest is funny, inventive, takes you on a journey across half the map, has you fighting a giant, a hag raven, a fort full of mages, and ultimately nets you the Sanguine Rose, a beautiful Daedric staff with the power to summon a Dremora Kinreeve, who will kick ass on your behalf for 60 glorious seconds.
There could be no other end.
Anyway, this quest begins with a simple drinking game. This really caught me out the first time I played Skyrim. I was not prepared and ended up halfway across the world with no idea what was going on. So yeah, find Sam Guaven in any tavern after you reach level 14 and he will challenge you to a drinking game. After passing out, you wake up in the Temple of Dibella in Markarth, and from here, your job is to piece together what the hell you did last night. And to find Sam. From here, it's like The Lord of the Rings meets The Hangover, as the extent of your revelry slowly begins to unravel. You've made a mess of this temple, so first you've got to clean that up. After apologising to the priestess, it's off to Rorikstead, where apparently you sold this farmer's goat to a giant.
You really don't remember stealing a goat and selling her to a giant? Are you thick?
Sorry. You can pay him off, but the cheaper, more fun option is to kill the giant and lead the poor goat back to its rightful owner. Then it's off to Whiterun to meet Isolde, who's made you a wedding ring for your true love, who you're marrying, because of course you are. To get the ring back, you'll need to track down your bride-to-be, who is this hag raven. Sorry. Get the ring, give it back to Isolde, and then travel to Morvunskar, where the wedding was due to take place. Instead of a wedding, there are a bunch of mages you'll need to kill before walking through a creepy portal into this Mad Hatter's Tea Party-like realm, where finally you find Sam, who turns out to be not Sam.
I am Sanguine, Daedric Prince of Debauchery.
As a thanks for a fun night out, he gives you the staff. Thank you, Sam. Thank you very much. And so there we are, 7 side quests, so good they made us forget about the main game. Let us know your own picks in the comments, give us a like if you enjoyed the video, and hit that notification bell so you always know when a new Friday feature goes live. Thanks for watching, and see you next week.
For the players.